As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more.
All right, I think this is going to be our final story tonight, and it's a good one, I know, because Jimmy has direct ties here. It's an XSET story. Esports brand XSET partners with, is this Drai? Is that how it's pronounced?
Drai's, yeah, Drai's Nightclub.
Drai's Nightclub for concerts and gaming cabanas. I just love this. Let me read some of the article here. It says, we view nightlife and gaming as cultural hubs that not only touch fashion, art, and entertainment, but are often at the forefront of what's next. I can hear Clinton Sparks saying this in my head. By the way, you guys should check out that episode with Clinton. It was an amazing podcast episode. But I'll just read what's visible here. It says, would you play video games at the club, popular Las Vegas hip-hop nightclub Drai's, and esports and gaming lifestyle brand XSET are banking on it. The two companies have signed the first-of-its-kind partnership to integrate gaming and music activation into the Drai's party scene, where artists like Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, and 2 Chainz are regular performers. Beginning in early fall, XSET's so-called residency will produce XSET-themed gaming cabanas hooked up with branded consoles inside Drai's 30,000-square-foot beach club, as well as gaming VIP sections and a private gaming lounge for performers in its 25,000-square-foot nightclub. I mean, XSET's also bringing their talent. It goes on to talk about that. What do you guys think of this? I think it's really interesting. It's different. It's the first I've seen of this, right? Nightlife and gaming sort of meeting this in this sort of clear way.
Do you want me to go first or last?
Well, look, where are we on the spectrum, right? Because to me,
are you an investor here, Jimmy? What's your disclosure?
Disclaimer.
I am an XSET investor. I'll just go first. The amount of hype that this announcement got this week, reposts and retweets and other people chiming in and sharing it, was like as big as when Azuna was signed, as big as when Zeke Elliott was signed, as big as any XSET announcement over the last year. It was just like massively popular. It was just so well received that tremendous props and shout out to Clinton for making this happen over there. Again, like Paul said, listen to his episode, just kind of dissecting, I think, popular culture and putting gaming at the nexus instead of music. As far as whether or not this will be successful, I definitely want to hear you guys' take on it after beating to death a Tim Horton kind of activation. Not quite the same, right? Because this isn't about getting people in and out the door. You go to the nightclub for an extended period of time. It is kind of ironic when you introduce antisocial behavior into something that's really a in-person experience. But to Paul's point, or I don't know if you made this point, excuse me, but like, it's really cool. It's something that hasn't been done before. It's something to talk about. All of the artists and performers are all big gamers, right? So they want gaming in the green room or backstage. When I'm at the club, the first thing I want to do is leave and go home and play. So, maybe this is a reason to get me out. I'm like, my fiance wants to go dance and I'm going to go over here and,
So this is just like the Tim Hortons, basically. Mom wants to go. Mom wants to go have coffee. I just want to play games.
I think for Tim Hortons, I think for Drai's, it's Drai's is entering the space in a unique way, and Drai's is affiliating themselves with a tier 1 org that has a lot of star power, like Sway Lee, that now is going to start performing regularly at the venue. And I think for XSET, that wants to be more than a hoodie org, right? That has awesome Valorant and Counter-Strike and Rocket League teams, but that wants to be a lifestyle brand as much as anything. And I think is doing it in a unique way where they're not just relying on collaborative merch drops. I'm only going to have good things to say about this, guys, because this is my horse in the race. I think it's innovative and exciting. Whether or not it's a good business decision, please rip it to shreds if you believe so. Don't pull punches. But I don't think you can deny that it's really cool to just talk about in theory. That's my take.
Jeff?
William's face is like, no.
Yeah, no, William looks like he's about to like throw up or something. No, I mean, one, I thought the Clinton Sparks episode was awesome, and has such an impressive background, and is just like a guy, when you hear him, you're like, wow, everything this guy touches to gold, turns to gold.
He's the coolest guy in gaming. There's no question.
I would not bet against it. Having said that, if this idea was pitched to me and I didn't know that he was involved and I didn't know that you were an investor, I would not be super bullish on, only because I despise nightclubs. So when I think of nightclubs, I think of a dark, really loud room that I want to leave immediately. And to me, that like a concert / nightclub doesn't necessarily mix with like what I think of as like people wanting to sit and play video games. But I think that I'm just not understanding what exactly. I think it's going to be different from what I'm picturing, which is basically my own personal hell. But that has nothing to do with what actually the idea is. And I think with Clinton and the team that they like, it's going to be successful. That's just my own demons of gaming clubs.
Do we not love a world where there's this potential to pick up girls in a club based on your Valorant rank?
That would have helped me.
William.
Let William. Yeah, because I talk too much. Go for it.
No, I mean, no, not a huge comment here. I mean, I reserve my judgment on this. I think what I like about it a lot is the PR. Like I think to the credit of this announcement, I think it's really unique. I think it hasn't, like, there's not other nightclubs signing, this. And I think it is, I think it's a very good driver of sort of eyeballs. And I think does a good job of continuing to position XSET in the kind of music space, which I think is something that's clearly very, strongly of interest to that organization. Yeah, I mean, beyond that, I'll withhold my full comments. But yeah, I think I don't think it's a bad move, bluntly.
I'm curious how you guys compare, because after having seen the HyperX Arena, to me, there's interesting parallels here, right? Which is that HyperX Arena was a nightclub. So it was a nightclub inside the Luxor that they've converted to this essentially gaming space, right? No different than the way they're describing these gaming cabanas. And they serve alcohol there, and they can then play music there, and there's a DJ booth there, and right, like, you can get a club atmosphere inside the HyperX Arena.
Yeah.
Do we not see sort of this convergence happening? Like, they don't feel that different to me if this is executed the way it's described.
Well,
again, it lies in the execution. Sorry, Jeff, go for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's, a lot of these things, that's always probably a good thing to preface. I was going to say, I mean, one of the things Clinton, I think, has proven is he is someone who is able to make things cool. And he's at the forefront of this gaming culture, hip hop, frankly, making things cool that, I joked in our private chat, I'm literally not cool enough to judge whether this is going to work or not. And I kind of do. I don't even say that facetiously. Like, I think that it will. What I'm most interested in to see is whether this is going to be more club or more gaming, and where it falls in that spectrum. Because I think there's a way you do it where it's like the gaming is somewhat secondary, but it's like gaming themed entertainment, so you attract the gaming audience, but they're not necessarily coming to plug in and like game or play in a tournament. It's just like sort of like gaming culture. But yeah, I think
I can see the attraction though, because I do this, right? Like, I will go to a place that's more not clubbish, but like,
be the only person who does this though, Paul.
Like, I will go to a public place that's not meant for gaming, where people are partying or drinking or outside or whatever, and I will bring my gaming laptop and I will put my headphones on and I'll play outside. And I find it fascinating because people come by and want to ask questions and want to know what I'm doing, and I think you will get some of that. Like, I actually think there will be social interaction around these gaming cabanas that happen between groups of people you may not think would, right? Like,
that'd be cool. Yeah.
you may get groups who are there who are hardcore just Lil Wayne fans and are there for the club and the dancing and the alcohol, who get sort of hooked into a party of other people who are there to play, COD all night long. And I think interesting things can happen there. And I don't see a huge difference between this and the HyperX space, frankly. I think we're describing them differently, but it's fundamentally achieving the same goal, which is how can you make gaming a little bit more social, a little bit more public, a little bit more extroverted.
The real question I think we should all be asking is, when does it open? And what do I do? Jimmy, where's my cabana? Like, what do we do?
Where's our VIP?
VIP access. I think when you innovate like this, a lot of it is just in the idea and kind of trying something new to make that wave, and in whether or not it sticks, right? We look at things from a business perspective on this show. Sometimes, the cultural phenomenon that you can unleash with that idea, even if it's a failure, becomes bigger, I think, than the underlying idea. Like Paul was saying about meshing certain fun cultural music events with gaming, whether or not this works, it's in the talks. I can say 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, when I first met Clinton, we were trying to put FaZe Clan stuff like this at Astronomical, a Travis Scott concert. And Clinton and I were all about it, but we couldn't get, people upstairs to agree on the details. So what happened? We took Travis to Epic and did that concert instead. But that would have been the first of its kind, very similar to this, which is loud music venue. Maybe there are people that want to meet in games separately. Maybe there's something that we could do for them and support that community or do it in a cool way. I can share with you in the green rooms, all the stars are playing Madden or 2K or some type of game backstage. I've had the fortune of being in a ton of them in my life, just from being in music a little bit before this, and they're all gaming backstage. So I think it's just a no-brainer that they wanted to, or that people would be down to include it in this sense. And then I think as a fan of this concept and someone that would use it, I remember in college, I used to work security for my fraternity, and one day the guy in charge, our pledge master, let us off early. He goes, "You guys can go inside the party and enjoy." And I looked at my roommate and my pledge brother Mike, and he and I walked through the front door, through the party room, through the back door, all the way back to our dorms, and hopped on World of Warcraft. This is 2006, so this is like prime World of Warcraft, and like we just left this college fraternity party in our prime to go play WoW. So
I can tell you there is a future. Like, a lot of guys go to clubs to pick up girls. That's one of the reasons you go, or to meet girls or whatever. I can tell you there is a future where being Radiant and Valorant is something that girls find attractive, right? Like the gamer culture is becoming more mainstream than we realize, and this becomes a legitimate
I wish Lindsay was here for this one so she could say yes or no. We need some sort of female backup proof on this.
No, we just
we're quick to. I'm not sure if that might just be what we're hoping or what.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I hold out hope.
Hope is a good thing.
Taylor says, "I always say this: Las Vegas is slowly but surely becoming the esports hub of the world. This is just another step to this. Las Vegas definitely has a lot of the pieces necessary, and gambling being such a great way to monetize makes a lot of sense."
So impressed by Vegas's esports scene when we were there, really.
Ramsey says, "Not sure about this working. Definitely interesting in breaking the basement gamer stereotype." Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see. XSET times Drai's, very similar to FaZe times Resorts World. These high value clubs really want to combine on multiple levels with these teams. They want the audience, young, disposable income. It definitely makes sense to try and reach that audience. Ramsey says, "Maybe more Fall Guys than Valorant, and I could get on board with the club gaming convergence." There you go. True. That's probably a better one. You may need better noise canceling headphones for Valorant in a club.